It's going in for another one, folks.
Yeah. Sweet. This is the one you brought.
Is it the bananas?
Yeah.
Fucking
yeah. I like that shit. I like that shit. It's from Belly.
Yeah, it's a famous line.
I like that shit.
How was your Sprit?
It's great, but it's 7-Up, so shut
up. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jules.
And
we do it for my
Kind of the final Mark Darby Robinson performance in a film, yes. Because there's a documentary we're going to wrap everything up with. Septien. You got some, I bet you got some trivia.
I don't. They had one trivia on IMDb and it wasn't even worth mentioning because it was about a shirt that some guy was fucking wearing and something else.
I will say I spent most of this movie waiting to find out that their father sexually abused them, and it was going to be on that videotape.
I thought the videotape, yes, was going to play a much larger role.
No.
Nope.
Not at all.
Not at all. In fact, when the shoe does drop, it's kind of like, what? No, there's a lot in this movie that I'm thinking, not a lot, but there's several things in this movie that I'm thinking, okay, and nothing really comes from it. It's an inexplicable film.
I was so excited about watching Longstreet.
I did not like it.
No, I kind of like this movie. I think I like Longstreet the least out of the leads, although I appreciate what he's doing, and I kind of like it.
He's good at it, but it feels a little played.
It's a little harder to buy into him, more so than the others. I think Onur Tukel is great.
He's fantastic.
I really like him a lot now.
He's absolutely, and he rarely wears a shirt.
I know, it's great.
It's fantastic.
And I think all that artwork is his. He made that.
Oh, good. It's interesting shit.
He sells a lot of paintings now.
Those aren't for sale.
Give you $10.
Why don't you go ahead and hit me with that synopsis?
I'm going to do it.
We can get this party started.
Septien. Ezra Rawlings, Robert Longstreet, lives in his family's home and obsesses about cleanliness. Ezra's brother Amos pretty much just lives in the barn and paints disturbingly pornographic, horrific, impressionist portraits and tableaus. Wilbur Cunningham, Jim Willingham, is like a friend or something, although at first Jules thought possible lover for Ezra. Possibly. Whatever. I thought so too.
Yeah.
Wilbur spends a lot of time in an old tractor tire caring for a kitten and searching for treasure with a metal detector.
It's got a big neck.
When Ezra and Amos's wayfarer brother Cornelius, Michael Tully, director and writer of the movie, suddenly appears after having almost literally vanished 15 or 18 years earlier, it's debatable, the brothers set about trying to heal their wounds, confront their demons, and grow a stronger bond. And a week in their life can finally be Septien.
Yep.
That's a thick synopsis.
I forgot to put Onur Tukel's name in there. He plays that Amos.
He is also the co-writer, along with Robert Longstreet. Good job, guys.
Yeah, this movie, man. It's weird because it almost feels like Mark Darby Allen's part. Robinson, too, is like out of place.
I forgot he was in this. I thought I was just watching it. And it was like, oh yeah, Mark Darby Robinson.
Okay, so the movie starts, and does it start? Ezra?
Yeah, isn't he like wandering and then he falls asleep? And then we wake up at the farm and he comes in.
No, that's
Longstreet
Cornelius.
Getting everybody orange juice.
Longstreet, I think this is when we first see him with Cunningham, where it feels like maybe they're dating or something.
He's going around giving everybody orange juice.
He puts it on the tire with some bacon and eggs, and the boy just pops up and starts, his hand reaches up and he grabs the OJ. And then he puts one out in the barn door. Onur has been painting. I mean, it's like a woman with a cock is stabbing a football player who's pooping, and a bird is bursting out of his anus.
Yeah, the entire credit sequence is all these insane and amazing pieces of artwork.
Yeah,
They're really
are
very good.
Something else. Not necessarily something you would expect to find hanging in a show at a church, but still quite the conversation starter.
Yeah. And Amos slams that orange juice glass.
He does.
I was horrified by how hard he slammed that orange juice.
He looks like he's enjoying it. So then Cornelius just kind of shows up. And Ezra's like, oh, my stars.
Oh my God. Oh, I prayed for this so hard and I wasn't sure it was going to happen. Oh, this is a joyous day. Let me look at you.
Cornelius is just like shell-shocked. He doesn't really say much. Can I ask? He goes, no. So then Bobby Longo calls in everybody and he goes, we're going to eat dinner because this is the first time the Tulliver brothers or whatever have been together in 18 years, he says. And I don't want to hear any shit like you just ate or you aren't hungry.
I'm too busy. We're going to eat this meat, okay? And let me just say, let me be the first to tell you that it is a pleasure to have you back at this table, Corny.
So Cornelius is just fucking a schlub. And, he's real cagey about where he's coming from.
He even tells Amos when he's asking him right in the beginning, he's like, "You're asking too much."
I think he even goes like, "Are you going to leave again?" And he goes, "I don't know," or whatever. Eventually, Cornelius leaves. And when he leaves the house, he's wearing like a members only style jacket, but it has a hood attached to it. And as soon as he's got a really bushy beard, he pulls his hood over his head and draws it really tight.
And has glasses on.
Yeah, he looks like a real Ted Kaczynski kind of guy.
He looks very cool. Now, when they're eating that dinner, there's a blow up.
Keep it up, Ezra, and he's going to leave again, okay? You're going to be stuck here with your pots and your pans and your aprons and all your fucking bullshit.
Why do I even do this? Why do I do this for you guys?
Because you're fucked in the head. You need therapy, my friend. You're mentally ill.
Cornelius takes his glass and smashes it, throws it hard against the wall, and marches out.
Right.
It's like a very intense moment where these people do not get along. Now, the synopsis tells us they're like three mentally ill brothers. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe. But then, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is where it's immediately like, okay, what's happening here? Because Cornelius, we see him up just sort of like sidle out from behind a tree, and he's just standing several feet away from while watching two young boys.
And he looks like a scary child molester. And he said to his brother, he's like, "Will you be back?" And he's like, "If I don't get arrested."
Exactly.
And so he's looking at those children. It's like, what?
And I'm expecting the one boy that's kind of facing his general direction to be like, "What the hell?
Help, stranger danger." And
then the camera just meanders up from the children, and in the background we see two guys playing tennis.
This is a great looking movie, right? I feel like the direction and cinematography is really well done.
It really brought me back to this time when all indie movies looked like this.
This movie is a bit of a treat.
And when they're playing tennis, I thought the one guy that Cornelius plays, I thought for a brief moment that was the dude from Lo and Behold.
Barlow Jacobs?
Yes. Brief, because I don't know if it's the version I was watching or whatever, but it felt like a lot of the times things were cropped. Like when he's sitting down and he goes, "I'll play you if you want." The top of that guy's head was cropped off. It feels like there's several moments throughout the movie where either it's a forced perspective, weird sort of ratio formatting or something, or that's just how it's filmed, I guess. But it seems like I'm just missing a little bit of what I should be seeing here. So he goes,
"Do you want to play me in tennis? We're already playing. Do you want to play for $50? Do you have $50?
And he goes, "I don't know. Is this $50? And he shows it to him.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm going to need to borrow that guy's racket, though."
Do you think, I feel like he never spends that 50. That 50
No.
is always there just for betting.
And I'm like, okay, he's really good. And he's walloping this guy. But I don't know. It just sort of feels like, specifically in this scenario, the guy just wouldn't try that hard.
To beat this mentally ill looking lunatic?
As soon as he starts tap dancing on him for a couple of shots, you think he'd just kind of be like, "Oh, okay, you're really good. Just take the money," or whatever. But
okay.
He doesn't, and he trollops him, and then he takes the money and he just leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fucking trailer really shows this, another sequence similar to this.
Oh, you watched the trailer?
I did.
I ain't seen no trailer.
And it's kind of snappy. So when you watch this movie, it's really very subdued.
Right, but not dull.
And slow, but not dull. No, you're right. And also cohesive.
I also find that there's clearly a mystery as to what's going on with Cornelius. Mm-hmm. Where did he go? Why did he go? And I felt like that drove me for at least the first 30 minutes.
And Onur Tukel, he really feels like the youngest. He's transported back to 10 or 12. Hey, do you ever miss Ma and Dad? And you ever think about them? And the fact that he's also shirtless a majority of the time kind of makes him feel like a little Southern kid too. But
you want to rub his belly?
I do. A little cherubic gut. So the hillbilly guy, Cunningham, he's out with his metal detector and he finds a camcorder, possibly the one that this movie was filmed on, in a garbage bag buried 1.5 inches below level.
I mean, wouldn't you assume that something very bad is on that camera?
Yeah, or something. So he goes around and he starts filming nature and stuff. And then he shows it to Bobby Longo, and he's immediately just like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life."
I had no idea you were this town. This is Wilbur.
Well, you haven't seen that much of it, Ezra.
Oh my Lord. This is done. We're going to have an art show. We're going to show this to the world.
It does have a flair to it.
Oh, especially once you hear him actually doing the voiceover.
Yeah. Now, the reason it's buried is because it's his football game from high school.
Oh, okay.
I
The
think-
one he played in?
Yeah, I think when he was good in football, I think he was so upset about everything that happened, that he buried that camera.
Okay. Because, there's a brief football game in the beginning before the movie kicks in. And then I'm expecting it to continue. And then we see, I don't know, something with the dad.
The mystery resolved. Yes.
And I'm like, not even resolved, but kicks into gear. But no. So Bobby Longo is just like, I'm going to organize a viewing of this masterpiece in the church. And
he does not want that to happen. He's like, I don't want you to do that.
yeah, that's not necessary.
No, we're gonna. You're special.
Yeah.
I had no idea you were anything but a simpleton. I did not know you had any creative bone in your body. And it blows my fucking mind. Right? That's the vibe.
Well, because when he first comes in and he's like, I found this. He goes, oh, sit down, sweetheart. I don't like people
Wandering around
my kitchen. Yeah.
It's a weird, aggressive thing to say.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because I think that guy stepped on Longstreet's line a little bit.
All right, have a seat, sweetheart. I don't like
what I
people.
got here.
Okay, have a seat, sweetheart. I don't like people standing around my kitchen.
I think you fucked it up for him a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, but they went with it. And so it turns out that it's not just a video premiere. It's also an art showing for
Amos Tukel.
And nobody really seems aghast. They're kind of like, some guy's pointing and talking about one of them.
They should be straight up horrified by every one of those pictures.
Yes.
I would love to have some of those pictures in my house.
They're interesting.
Yeah. We could probably buy some off them, but I bet you they're more expensive than you want.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So, and they show the movie and people are like watching it, and
Everybody seems
fine.
nice.
It's perfectly fine. Now, eventually their toilet explodes.
Have we cut to Mark Darby Robinson prior to him coming out?
Yeah, so probably 10 or 15 minutes before this event, we're just in a bedroom and we see Mark getting out of bed and he goes to pee. We hear that and they're just focused on the bed and it looks empty. And then he comes out and he goes, wake up. And then all of a sudden sprightly music kicks in while this little girl sits up. I mean, not little, but
no,
she feels underage. She gives me real Juliette Lewis vibes, specifically in this scene, where she's just kind of like looking at him like a hurt and neglected puppy.
I find it interesting how if you do not give people lines, they can be an amazing actor. Because I found this girl relatively powerful through most of it until I think she's talking more towards the end. And I was like, all right, never mind.
So the toilet explodes and Onur Tukel actually was drawing poop on the floor.
Can I level with you?
I need you to.
I thought Tukel shit all over that bathroom because he's quite hostile towards Longstreet.
Right. When I saw that poop, I'm like, okay, which one of them would have just shat?
Tukel.
All over this.
For sure, Tukel.
And Bobby Longo is just falling in it.
That's okay. Two things. Now, a thing that's happening with Longstreet in this is that he's slowly has morphed into their mom. He's very effeminate. He's got strong mom energy. And it's good. He's an effective mom, but it's also a bit much for the whole movie where you're like, I just feel like you're kind of wearing this not like mom accent kind of.
Because, right, at first it just sort of seems like, okay, maybe he's just gay. But then, like when you see him when he's mopping and scrubbing the house, he's just got on like jeans and boots and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But then like a flowery, frilly June Cleaver kind of apron.
Do you think so? The other thing I was going to mention is he falls in that poop, right? He hits his head.
Oh God, yes.
And starts bleeding.
Yep.
Now I am wondering if that maybe amped it up because shortly after that he starts wearing like the mom outfits a bit.
Well, you're skipping past
him putting on the blood lipstick.
Yes.
Which made me want to vomit.
Yeah.
And I had to pause and think about this. And I was like, am I like grossed out by this man rubbing his lips with this blood? No, I am horribly revolted by the fact that he has fallen in shit and is touching his body, which could have shit on it.
It does.
And then rubbing his mouth.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't shake the fact that there could be shit on his fingers. And it was making me nauseous the whole time he kept rubbing that blood on his lips.
See, I got past that immediately once he started to do it. And I'm just like, well, this is very interesting. Because, he just keeps getting a little bit more blood and putting it on like lipstick.
Do you think that blast to the head and the return of Cornelius kind of really amped up this mom vibe? Because I think before that he was just kind of taking care of everybody. But I feel like after this, maybe he really shifted and embodied a mom based on the outfit and the blood lipstick.
I don't know. Not having seen him literally much before Cornelius returns.
Yeah.
And again, thinking that boy was his lover. It was almost like a Tiger, what's his name? Tiger King?
Tiger King?
Yeah, how he kept like bringing in
young boys.
Destitute, non-gay, but seduced boys.
Yeah, because he had drugs and guns and jobs and a little bit of money.
Because that boy seems to be maybe living in the manger or the
I like he's living in
barn.
that tire, to be honest, but that little shack he was in later, that would make more sense.
Yeah. So he calls.
I think that's just another son for him. I don't think there is a lover
No,
aspect.
right. Absolutely.
I don't even know that I don't think he is gay. I think he's just a mommy.
No, so that's just it. No, as you go on, yeah, I think it's less that, but that's what it felt like when he's doing the video presentation. He's got like an open shirt, button-up shirt, but then he's got a tie on his naked neck.
Yeah.
Real like Mr. Foley kind of.
He's trying to be so supportive of his boys.
He is. But, so Red Rooster shows up, and he's driving his van, and he's just really laying into this girl about how she's dressed.
That is a pretty dress, Savannah. You know, sometimes I think you dress too prettily. Aren't you afraid that some guy's going to come up and touch you?
She's like a regular girl, too. She's not doing anything. She's just a lady.
And
Are
so
you mad that she's cute?
So they get there, and he starts working, and he goes, "Don't leave the van." And she does immediately. And he comes out, because he can't do all of the work. He needs to come back, maybe. And he sees she's not in the van, and he's just like, "Savannah! Savannah!" And they're like, "Wow, this is weird." And then I think it's immediately at this point that owner Tukel comes out to investigate, and he sees Red Rooster, and then we see him look at him again, and now he's the coach blowing his whistle. And I'm like, oh, I remember that from the trailer. What the hell's going on? And owner just scrambles away. So he ends up getting Savannah because she wandered off and saw Cunningham petting with the kitten. And she goes, "What's his name?" And he goes, "I don't know. What's yours?" And she goes, "Savannah." And he goes, "Well, I'll name the kitten Savannah." And she goes, "Oh, awesome." But then she leaves.
I find Mark Darby Robinson about like 80% pretty amazing. 20% he farts it up.
He mentions getting her sweatpants, and he does. He's also rubbing her feet. And then somewhere in here, it just cuts randomly to a construction site with a porta-john. And then all of a sudden, a guy comes out of the porta-john holding a briefcase, and he puts on a leather coat.
Oh, yeah.
Picks up the briefcase and just slowly starts walking down the way. And then we get away from that. And then Mark's fixing the septic tank. They go back another time. Savannah immediately vanishes again. Onur is in... I think he, at this point, mentions that to Cornelius that Red is the coach. And so now he's in the barn, and he's turns on a table saw, and he's about to put his hand into it.
And Cornelius is giving you very little throughout this entire movie. He's very stoic, placid, flat.
Earlier, we see him
huffing gas,
pour gas onto his shirt, run away and huff it. At one point, we see him playing basketball, and he just takes the guy to the hole. And the last shot, he just bounces it behind his back, and it just goes into the fucking basket.
He's amazing at every sport.
Apparently, yeah, he's just a savant.
And I think this is what we're supposed to believe is he's been doing for 18 years.
I guess. Him and fucking...
He's a hustler. Him and Paul Newman.
Him and Billy Hoyle are out there just playing the courts. We do also then see him take some of his winnings and buy a 40. He slams it and then immediately throws it up. And then he's laying in the grass with white shit on his face.
That's real puke.
Oh, God.
He really does the puke.
Head puke, too. That's fucking... He's doing crazy shit, but he's awesome, but he's also a loser. And when he's huffing that gas, I was getting real Love Liza vibes.
Yeah, that's what I immediately thought of, and I was like, ooh, I wish that they had done some effects.
But Red Rooster is the coach. And owner Tukel's like, look, Corny, they call him, and he goes, don't call me that. So they call him Con. He goes, something happened, right, with Coach, right? After that game, right? Because he called you in there, right? And, you left right after that, right?
He did it very specifically with nobody else to be around.
Yep, and he goes...
He doesn't tell him.
So then we see the preacher a second time walking with
2 little blonde girls
in a cornfield, and it sounds like they're both talking at the same time, but only one of them is, and her voice is doubled.
And why were we chosen?
and they're not real.
No, they're absolutely not. Because then we see him from behind, and he's just walking with his briefcase.
I was so confused about who this guy was. I was like, is this their dad?
Mm-hmm.
It should be them walking with him. Those are 2 little girls, and confused.
And I'm even more confused when he finally shows up. So, yeah, we obviously know that Red's bad. Because however old that girl is supposed to be, she feels very young.
Yeah.
And they are sleeping in the same bed.
And he's over 50.
And he's incredibly controlling and just malevolent in his teeth. So all of a sudden, when the brothers are kind of having some mild revelations, because Onur's like, dude, you don't even know what's going on, to Ezra, who feels like they're just being disrespectful to him. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, you have no idea what the coach did to him. And he goes, well, what the fuck did the coach do? And then all of a sudden, the preacher just walks in. And Ezra's like, can I help you?
I think the better question is, can I help you? This house is unclean.
No, I clean this house every day.
You clean the house?
Every day.
So I guess you didn't see the snakes on the floor then?
I was like, you guys better kill this guy.
Yeah.
Right? I thought this was a real threat.
I'm like, okay, this guy's coming from Cornelius's past. His gas supplier or something. And but then all of a sudden, it seems like Ezra not necessarily knows the preacher, but accepts him.
Immediately.
Yeah. He sits down. I'm gonna tell you what this is, And,
well, I think it's because he says something about this place is tainted.
Yeah.
And then it all clicks into place for each of them.
You need to be cleansed or something. So immediately the preacher just starts prank calling Mark Darby Robinson.
We need to get him over here.
Hey, dickless, you got teeth that don't look right. What the hell?
Yeah, he's like, we have to disorient him with nonsense. Isn't that what he says?
Yeah, I believe that is exactly what he says.
He does pretty good with the phone calls.
Couple 2 or 3 prank calls.
Hello?
You ever been force-fed a cheeseburger by your mama sitting next to a man with half a body?
And then he goes to Ezra. He's like, all right, now it's your turn to make a prank.
And this is great because I feel like this is Robert Longstreet being like, well, you know what? I'm actually an amazing actor. Because when he calls him, he sells it 100%.
Look, I don't know what you did, but one of the pipes you've installed, I think it's burst or something. I mean, we have a hell of a flood out here. I understand that, and I'm willing to pay you overtime if you come here right now. I mean, this is a serious flood, sir.
And I was thinking, like, how are you going to lure this guy there?
Right.
And
smartest way possible.
Ezra channels it immediately.
I'll pay you twice as much to come over here right now.
He knows exactly what to say.
And the girl goes, well, can I go? And he goes, no, fuck no, you can't go. It's dangerous out there, and you're safer here. And she goes, I'm safer with you. And he goes, all right, get in that van.
I am the rooster.
So they drive out there, and he's just like, what is this smiling ass fucker looking at? To Ezra, because he comes walking up. Maybe that's earlier. God.
He does talk mad shit about them. He's like, these people are crazy or something wrong with them.
Yeah, look at him fighting on the ground like that. And no, he pulls up and nobody's there.
She takes off into the darkness immediately, right?
Yeah, Mark goes up to the house, and the screen door is closed, but the front door is slightly ajar. And, hello? It's MDR. Anybody home? Hello? And he opens up the screen door and goes in, and all of a sudden the door slams. And you can hear him muffling, going, or something like that. And so they've got him tied up, and they've got a sock in his mouth. And the preacher's just like, we got to fucking exorcise all your demons.
He's got a real resigned look in his eyes, too. Like he's been caught.
Yeah.
Like it's finally has caught up to him the bad things he's done.
Yep. And Savannah, I think she just goes off to find the boy. And he's reading a Hispanic book or something. Picture book.
Is he?
Yeah. And she goes, why don't you come out and look at the stars with me? He goes, yeah, all right. And they're doing that. And the preacher, they start a bonfire. And it's getting a little psychotic.
There are some moments in this movie where I'm like, this family seems mildly dangerous, and I get worried for this girl going over there. But they're really tender, sweet people, ultimately.
It's tricky. It's a tricky film because there's elements that feel dreamlike, but then there are moments of pure coherency. And then it gets dark, but it doesn't dwell on that darkness. It just touches it and presents it. And so you're not sure is this real? how do I feel about this? To me, at least. Okay, it's going down like an abusive path, but it's so irreverent moments ago with like him beating a guy in the basketball court, right? You're not sure what to think of this guy because he's super weird, but he's also like the greatest sports player ever. But he's also huffing gas. So the preacher goes to Ezra, he goes, you're not their fucking mother.
Dude's got a lot of pain.
You took on that role.
The preacher.
Yeah, and you're not their mother. I am their mother.
I love my boys. I take good care of my boys.
He's wearing a dress at this point.
Yeah, he's been wearing it for a bit now.
Quite a bit. And he goes, no, man, that ain't your role. And he goes, ah. And then owner Tukel all of a sudden is just ashened, just covered in black soot. And he goes, I forget what he goes for him. I forget what his problem is.
I mean, he acts like he's dead, like he's going to kill himself.
Yeah. Maybe he goes, you need to not act like that. And he goes, you're right. And then Cornelius, the toughest nut to crack, he goes, man, you're worth something and it's not your fault. Does he go Robin Williams on his ass?
He go hunt him?
I think he might. Something to that effect. And he starts screaming it. And you really believe it, And then they say something about the coach. And I think the last time we see him, he's got his hands tied behind his back and the preacher's walking him into the woods.
It's interesting because it seems like they're going to throw him in the fire.
Yeah.
This ends up being like this crazy nightmare peyote slideshow because what do they cut to Longstreet giving birth to a lawn gnome, but he's just fucking around. I think there's a quick cut of them sucking his nipples.
Yes.
When they say he's their mother.
Yeah, they're nursing on him. And he's just like, yes, I'm very proud.
I had a lot of respect for this movie, and I like it even more now that we're talking about it.
It's also just incredibly unclear who the preacher is and what he's supposed to represent.
I think he's just the comeuppance and the reckoning and like
personified
the ability for everybody to confront their demons and come out the other side. Like they're all so broken and need help, and he becomes the confrontation that gets them to the next stage, the healing stage.
Absolutely, but.
Is he real? I think he's real. It's a weird movie.
He comes from somewhere, knows everything. I don't know.
What happens to Mark Darby Robinson? He's a demon put out to pasture.
They just bring him out, yeah. And so then I think it literally just cuts to them being good now. Onur Tukel was drawing a football player, but he's being lofted above the heads of family and friends. There's no dicks at this point. Ezra...
He did declare that he's going to wear dresses now. This is who he is.
Okay.
During the breakdown earlier.
Okay.
Where they're all getting fucked up around the campfire ready to throw Darby Robinson in.
So then he goes out to the tire where we see Savannah next to Cunningham, who's playing his guitar.
And he's playing a nice song because I think earlier he says he likes to play the guitar.
He does.
We haven't seen him do it at all.
He's just strumming.
And when he's doing this, I'm like, did they pull a musician? Is this guy a musician?
So then we see everybody's there. And she goes, why don't you sing? And he goes, oh, I'd like to do that. And then he starts ripping out this fucking indie jam.
As my footsteps go around them, fellow passers will not see me splashing in the muddy puddle.
And
Cornelius is sitting on the basketball.
Yeah, he's balling, right?
It's quite a nice shot.
And so then it cuts to the studio track of this live song. And it is really this Allingham guy or whatever.
Oh, I don't think I watched that
playing this song. I looked him up just when I was on IMDb, and this is the only movie he's in, and it didn't mention that he's also a recording artist or anything. So I don't know if he's fucking from the Mountain Goats or whatever, but
it's John Darnielle.
And that's actually a pretty decent track. And the movie's over.
I like this movie.
I do too, but I don't think I'd ever want to watch it again. I don't know if there's anything more to glean from it. It was nice seeing Bobby Longo again immediately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, this feels like a welcome return. It's an interesting film. It feels like there's something missing throughout the entire film, but it doesn't detract from it. It just gives me a weird feeling like, I don't know, there's a slight element or something that's just not here. But yeah, it's, good.
Yeah.
What would you give it?
I would give it...
Let me guess, you can give it a 7.5.
No, I'm not going to do that. I am going to give it a 7 because I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. There was a lot of things I liked about it. I really liked Onur Tukel a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great.
He was fantastic in this.
Because I think even that hillbilly boy, he goes up to him like, "What'd you think of the movie?" He goes, "Man, I don't know film." And he says something.
He says,
"Did you enjoy doing it?" Mm-hmm. And keep going, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing that then, man.
Because he seems like he's going to be mean to him because he's an artist too, and this idiot
and he's
has
kind of
stumbled
an
into being good. But I don't know if he's really. I think he's just an asshole to Ezra. I think he resents Ezra's being the big brother, but then also trying to be the mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's very angry, and it comes up towards him.
And he's kind of out of the loop. Maybe because so much so that he doesn't know what's going on with Cornelius. But so maybe there's just been a number of things like that where he's just in a fantasy world or got his head in the sand, and Onur's just like, "Fuck this, man."
Well, I like Tukel a lot in this. I liked Cornelius a ton. I felt like he was very interesting to look at and strange and mysterious. I really liked it when he would tighten that hood, wear the glasses, be the big beard, and go do some weird sports shit and be amazing at it. Like when he's throwing cans in a garbage can and destroys
the golf course,
for $500.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I had this thought when Mark MDR brought Savannah there for the first time. I was thinking, okay, who's she going to gravitate towards?
Yeah, I thought maybe she was going to start
corny.
dating. I thought she was going to start dating Amos.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, maybe it's Tukel. Maybe it's corny, but no, it's the other guy.
Definitely not Longstreet.
No, absolutely not. So Mark does mention, yes, I did basically rape Cornelius.
Like you for sure did. I don't know what basically is. Like,
no, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Basically I raped him.
Yeah.
It was one time though, and I haven't done it since then. I saved Savannah.
Yeah, from a domestic type situation.
And I've been raising her, even though
I've never touched her.
Well,
they sleep in the same bed.
He sleep in the same bed. He touches her feet when he massages her. It's very, very, and you're allowed to just have this person.
It's bad news. I don't know what's going on.
It's super, super weird. MDR's portions of the movie, until it kind of came to light what is going on, it felt like super disconnected.
I was very confused about how it would tie together.
And I'm like, why are we seeing him?
I was excited though.
Why are we, I don't know, what is this? Is this the plumber? But it, comes together for the most part at the end. And I'd give this movie a 6.
I said 7.
A lot of that is just that indie 2000s vibe I'm getting.
That's why you gave it a 6 because it excites you, or that's why you bumped it? That's why it's at a 6 because that's stuff you're tired of.
I think it's independent of whatever else I liked about the movie. That vibe really, man, like it just opens up and you see that football clearing and the crowd slightly cheering and that just sort of desaturated dawn light. And I'm just like, fuck, man, I'm home. It's IFC time, baby.
What? It's interesting that she's never like, hey, what happened to Mark Darby Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hanging out in this tire, but you guys did something to him?
Or that any of them are. What is the preacher, right?
What do you give Darby?
Boy. It's his most nuanced performance. Most subdued performance, too. It's the closest thing to just like...
Well, no. What about Undertow? He's very much just a guy in that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think... Because when he's tied up, the ADR whimpering, that's not really happening.
Huh.
And it doesn't match up with the footage because he's just...
Flat, yeah.
Yeah, so you hear him whimpering and you're like, that stands out. But shit, man. I'm going to give him a 6. What are you going to give him?
I think he easily could be a 7 if you just took a little eraser and just snipped out a few things here and there. Use that eraser to snip out things like it's a scissor. Makes no sense.
How did you feel about that shot of him as the coach?
Oh, that worked for me. It should have been shitty, but I was like, okay, I'm good with that. I didn't see it in the trailer.
Okay.
I didn't watch the trailer.
You didn't. No, I know.
I give him a 6, but I think he could have been a 7 if there was just a little bit more. What do you give Longstreet?
Boy, he's pretty over the top. It reminded me a lot of, lo and behold, his performance in that.
Yeah?
Just not the characters, but he's really animated and over the top in that.
Well, I felt that worked more than in this.
No, it did. But it reminded me of that.
Okay.
And in here, yeah, it's a sticky portrayal. I'll give him a 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was going to give him like a 6 because I still respect that it's Longstreet. I can see what he's doing. It's just a bit much for the whole movie.
What do you give Onur?
I would give Tukel. That's such a good question because I am going to make us do Tukel at some point. Honestly, man, I'm just going to give him a 7 because I felt like he's fresh. Like, I believe him. He doesn't necessarily feel like an actor, but I feel like he embodies it really well. I liked him so much in this.
He's the center of this movie.
Yeah, he's the heart for sure. He's got a warmth to him.
He does.
There's something about this guy that I just love.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm going to give him an 8.
Oh, fuck! That's legit, because he definitely was the thing that made me love parts of this movie.
Just like you said at the party, it feels like he can get a little stupid here.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. And you're just like, fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
And I believe that he misses his brother.
Yeah.
I believed it in all of those scenes.
Yeah. You believe him as the youngest, right? He's the closest memories and connection to their parents.
How about him almost cutting off his fingers, man? Destroying his hand, which he makes his artwork with.
Well, and I'm like, oh, that must be a super old table saw because they don't do that now. Put your finger to it and it just stops.
There you go. All right, we'll be back real soon with Mark, the documentary, and Mark Darby Robinson.
Yep. So yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit.
YouTube.
We Doing Filmographies.
We do them real good. You can also email us at wedoingfilmographies@gmail.com.
Yeah, you can also call or text us at
911.
763-634-1897.
That is the number.
You can, if you've made a movie and you'd like us to watch it, you can review us on Apple Podcast.
Or if you're just a regular person and want to hear us talk about a certain movie, you can do the same thing. Just review us.
Mm-hmm. We'll watch literally anything.
He says, I'll watch anything that moves.
I do say that.
He did say that.
You said it now, though.
I've been Jason.
I've been Jules.
And
Mud in the water, mud on the ground, skulls in the forest, evil is all around. Mud in the water, mud on the ground, skulls in the forest, smother the demons. Smother the demons. forest. Smother the demon. Blood in the water. Mud on the ground. Skulls in the forest. Evil is all around. Blood in the water. Mud on the ground. Skulls in the forest. Smile.